You scroll, you watch, you see them inside their polished aluminum cages, moving through life with a friction you will never know. The cars, the watches, the easy laughter of people who do not count days until the paycheck. And what do you feel? Don't tell me you feel inspired. Don't tell me you feel happy for them. You feel a burning, corrosive acid in your gut. You feel a tightness in your chest, tastes like injustice. You look at that 20-year-old crypto millionaire or that CEO heir, and your brain screams a single ancient accusation: that should be mine. But here is the glitch. Here is the paradox that tears your psyche apart every morning. You want the kill, but you refuse to hunt. You look at the result, the gold, the meat, the status, and your dopamine receptors light up like a Christmas tree. You salivate. But the moment you look at the process, the sleepless nights, the risk of total ruin, the isolation, the relentless grinding pressure of maintaining that altitude, your brain slams on the brakes. Your amygdala screams, too expensive, danger, conserve energy. You are trapped in a biological purgatory. You are genetically wired to crave the top of the hierarchy because that is where the best food and the best mates are. But you are also genetically wired to avoid burning calories at all costs. You are a predator who wants the antelope to just fall dead at your feet. And because it doesn't, because reality demands a caloric sacrifice you are too lazy to make, you invent a moral shield. You call it injustice. You call it inequality. You say, the system is rigged. This is your ego protecting you from the horrifying truth. You are not a victim of the system. You are a victim of your own energy conservation instincts. You are envious of the rich, but you are not willing to pay the metabolic price to become the rich. Let's strip this down to the neurons. Why do you hate them? In the Paleolithic tribe, resources were a zero-sum game. If the alpha had the best piece of meat, that meant you had the scraps. His gain was literally your loss. His survival threatened yours. When you saw someone hoarding resources, your instinct wasn't to applaud his work ethic. Your instinct was to bash his head in with a rock while he slept and redistribute the calories to the tribe. This is the leveling instinct. It is the ancient bloody mechanism of the weak to cap the power of the strong. Your brain still lives in that cave. When you see a billionaire, your primitive cortex doesn't see an innovator. It sees a resource hoarder. It sees a threat. It sees someone who has taken your share of the mammoth. You hate him not because he is bad, but because he is winning the game you are too afraid to play. You claim you hate the greedy rich. You lie. You don't hate the player. You hate your position on the scoreboard. If I snap my fingers right now and swapped your places, if I gave you his bank account, his power, and his immunity, would you redistribute it? Would you give it all away to the poor? Or would you buy a bigger fence? We both know the answer. You would become exactly what you despise. You would become the hoarder, because the drive for dominance is universal. The only difference between you and him is that he acted on his drive, and you suppressed yours with cheap dopamine and excuses. And let's talk about that work you refuse to do. You say you are tired. You say you are burnt out. Let's look at the biology of your laziness. Laziness is not a sin. It is a survival mechanism. For 200,000 years, moving without a guaranteed reward was stupid. Running for fun? Stupid. Wasting energy on a project that might fail? Suicide. Your ancestors survived by sitting still, conserving fat, and waiting for a sure thing. But the modern world is not a sure thing. The modern world rewards the risk taker, the one who burns energy with no guarantee of return. The entrepreneur, the investor, the obsession-driven artist, they are operating against their preservation instincts. They are overriding the low battery signal. You obey the signal. You feel a little tired, so you stop. You feel a little uncertainty, so you retreat to the safety of the couch. Your brain rewards you for doing nothing. It gives you a little hit of relief. Good job, monkey. You saved calories today. You are safe. But while you are safe, the gap widens. The alpha pulls further ahead, and the envy grows. This is the torture chamber you have built. You want the status of a king, but you have the work ethic of a sloth. You want the view from the summit, but you complain that the climb hurts your knees. You want the universe to correct this imbalance. You want a basic universal income. You want tax the rich. You want a magical force to come down and level the playing field so you don't have to feel so inferior. You are waiting for the tribe to gather with their rocks and take down the giant, but the tribe isn't coming. Or if they are just as weak as you. You are suffering from status-effort dissonance. Your ambition is writing checks that your body refuses to cash. You look at the rich man's yacht and you think, I deserve that. Based on what? Based on your existence? Nature does not pay you for existing. Nature pays you for utility. Nature pays you for competence. Nature pays you for your ability to impose your will on chaos. If you cannot do that, then you are just biomass waiting to be recycled. This video is going to hurt. We are going to dig into the ugly, gelatinous mass of envy that sits at the bottom of your stomach. We are going to prove that your political views about wealth are just disguised biological jealousy. We are going to show you that your laziness is just fear of competition. And by the end, you will have a choice. Admit you are a coward who prefers comfort over power, or finally start paying the price for the life you claim you want. You call yourself lazy. You say you have procrastination issues. You buy planners. You download productivity apps. You listen to gurus telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. and nothing works. You inevitably slide back into the sludge of inaction. Why? Because you are fighting physics. Let's look at the machine you inhabit. Your brain represents only 2% of your body mass, but it consumes 20% of your total energy. It is a glutton. It is an expensive, high-maintenance engine that burns glucose at a terrifying rate. Evolution, in its ruthless efficiency, installed a safety valve, a governor. This governor has one job: to stop you from burning out. When you sit down to do deep work, to learn a new skill, to build a business, to solve a complex problem, your brain registers a massive spike in energy demand. The governor wakes up. It says, "Warning, energy reserves depleting, no immediate reward detected, shut down," and you feel it. That fog in your head, that sudden urge to check your phone, that heaviness in your eyelids, that is not boredom. That is your biological circuit breaker tripping to save energy. Your body is trying to force you into a low power mode. It is trying to make you a vegetable because vegetables don't starve to death. In the wild, this mechanism saved your life. If you ran a marathon for no reason, you died of exhaustion before the hunt began. If you spent hours thinking about abstract problems instead of scanning for predators, you were eaten. Laziness was a survival trait. The lazy ancestors survived to pass on their genes. The hyperactive ones burned out or took unnecessary risks. You are the descendant of the best calorie hoarders in history. Congratulations. You are genetically optimized for sitting on a rock. But here is the cruelty of the modern world. The environment has flipped. In the 21st century, energy conservation is no longer a survival strategy. It is a death sentence. The resources are no longer scarce. They are abundant. But access to them requires mental high performance. It requires overriding the governor. It requires forcing the brain to burn fuel when it wants to idle. And this is where the rich, the ones you envy, are different. They are mutants. Whether by trauma, genetics, or sheer terrifying will, they have broken their governor. Look at Elon Musk. Look at the investment bankers working 100-hour weeks. Look at the athletes destroying their bodies. To your primal brain, they look insane. They are expending fatal amounts of energy. Your brain looks at them and thinks, why are they running? There is no lion. They are wasting calories. They will die. But they don't die. They conquer. They have rewired their dopamine reward system. They don't get the hit from the rest. They get the hit from the strain. They have convinced their ancient biology that work equals survival. You still equate work with pain. Every time you try to start that side hustle, your brain runs a cost-benefit analysis. Cost: high effort, high stress, loss of leisure time, high cortisol. Benefit: uncertain, maybe money in 3 years, maybe failure. Result: abort mission, and you open Netflix. Because Netflix offers a guaranteed low-cost dopamine drip. It mimics the sensation of social connection and adventure without costing you a single calorie of actual effort. It is the perfect trap. You despise the rich because they remind you of your own biological limitations. When you see a man working 16 hours a day to build an empire, you don't just feel jealousy, you feel exhaustion. Just watching him makes you tired. Your mirror neurons simulate his effort and your body recoils. You think, I don't want to live like that. And that is your truth. You don't want to live like that. You want the result of his labor, but you are physically repulsed by the act of his labor. You want the muscles without the tear. You want the millions without the ulcers. This is the parasitic fantasy. You want to be the baby bird with its mouth open, waiting for the universe to vomit resources into your throat. But you are not a baby anymore. You are an adult primate in a dominance hierarchy. And in this hierarchy, if you do not hunt, you are the scavenger. Consider the concept of smart work versus hard work. You love this phrase. Work smarter, not harder. It is your favorite lullaby. Why? Because it promises efficiency. It promises maximum reward for minimum output. It appeals to your lazy inner miser. You spend hours reading about productivity hacks, trying to find the shortcut. But let me tell you a secret. The people at the top, they work smart and hard. They are efficient, yes, but they also apply that efficiency with brute force volume. While you're looking for the perfect strategy to save energy, they have already executed the imperfect strategy 10,000 times. They overwhelm the problem with sheer kinetic energy. You're trying to finesse a locked door with a lockpick you haven't learned to use. They are kicking the door down with a battering ram. Your body is capable of so much more than you allow it to do. The governor stops you at 40% of your actual capacity. You feel done, but you are not done. You are just uncomfortable. The Navy SEALs have a rule about this. When your mind says you are broken, you are only 40% done. The rich understand this intuitively. They live in the 60% that you never touch. They live in the red zone of the tachometer. Yes, they age faster. Yes, they look stressed. Yes, they sacrifice balance, but they get the prize. You prioritize work-life balance. Let's translate that. Work-life balance is code for I want to remain average. Nature has no balance. Nature has seasons of extreme exertion and seasons of recovery. The lion does not have work-life balance. It hunts until it catches or it starves. The farmer does not have work-life balance during the harvest. If he stops, the crop rots. You treat your life like a 9 to 5 shift. You think you are owed your evenings and weekends. The universe owes you nothing. The market owes you nothing. While you are balancing your life, someone else is tilting the scales in their favor. They are putting in the reps you refuse to do. And then, when they drive past you in the car that costs more than your lifetime earnings, you have the audacity to say, he got lucky. Luck plays a role, yes, but luck is a multiplier. If your input is 0, 0 multiplied by 1,000,000 is still 0. He put in the 1, he put in the 100. Luck multiplied it. You are sitting at 0, waiting for luck to multiply nothing. You are hoarding your energy for a crisis that never comes. You are saving yourself for a future that will never arrive because you are not building it. You are a battery that is slowly leaking charge on the shelf, terrified of being plugged into a machine. Use yourself up. What are you saving yourself for? The grave? Do you want to arrive at death with a well-preserved, rested body and a mind full of regrets? Or do you want to skid into the grave, broken, scarred, used up, but with a life that actually happened? The rich man is tired, but it is the good tired, the tired of the victor. You are tired, but it is the toxic tired, the tired of the stagnation, the tired of holding back. Which fatigue do you choose? Now let's dismantle the biggest lie you tell yourself. The lie that keeps you warm at night while you sleep on a bed of mediocrity. The lie is this: he is rich because he took something from someone else. You view the world through the lens of a zero-sum game. In your primitive mind, wealth is a finite pile of gold sitting in the center of the village. If Elon Musk takes a big shovel and takes half the pile, that means there is less for you. Your brain calculates his gain, my loss. This is why you hate him. This is why you call him a thief, a parasite, an exploiter. You genuinely believe on a visceral level that his yacht was paid for by your suffering. But this is a hallucination. This is a cognitive glitch inherited from your ancestors. For 99% of human history, the world was zero-sum. There was only one mammoth. If Grog ate the leg, there was no leg for you. If the alpha occupied the best cave, you slept in the rain. Resources were static. Land was static. Energy was static. In that world, hating the hoarder was a rational survival strategy. If someone took too much, the tribe had to kill him to survive. But we do not live in the Paleolithic anymore. We live in a world of positive-sum games. Wealth today is not a static pile of gold. Wealth is created. It is generated out of thin air through code, through efficiency, through innovation. When a billionaire builds a logistics network that delivers your toilet paper in 24 hours for cheaper than you could drive to get it, he didn't steal that money from you. He created value that didn't exist before. He expanded the pie. But your brain cannot process expansion. Your brain only understands division. So you sit there, consuming the cheap products that capitalism made possible, typing on the smartphone that mass production made affordable, and you rage against the very mechanism that keeps you alive. You are a hypocrite. You demand the benefits of the alpha's innovation, but you want to punish the alpha for the inequality that innovation creates. Let's look at your moral superiority. This is your favorite drug. You soothe your failure by telling yourself that poverty is a sign of virtue. I may be broke, but I'm a good person. I'm honest. I care about people. And the unspoken corollary: rich people are bad. They are dishonest. They don't care. This is a defense mechanism called reaction formation. You feel inferior because you lack resources. To protect your fragile ego from shattering under the weight of that inferiority, you invert the value system. You decide that resources are actually evil and lack of resources is actually good. You turn your weakness into a badge of honor. But let's run a simulation. Let's say I give you the power. Let's say you win the lottery tomorrow. $100 million lands in your lap. Do you remain this humble, giving, community-minded saint? Statistics say no. Sudden wealth syndrome reveals who you really are. Most lottery winners destroy themselves or become tyrants. Why? Because money amplifies. Money is a magnifying glass. If you are insecure, money makes you a paranoid hoarder. If you are undisciplined, money makes you a drug addict. You are not good because you are poor. You are just harmless. A rabbit is not pacifist because it refuses to eat the wolf. A rabbit is harmless because it lacks the teeth to be a predator. You are a rabbit judging the lion for hunting while secretly wishing you had fangs. Your envy is a projection of your own shadow. You believe the rich are greedy because you know deep down how greedy you would be if you had the chance. You know that if you had the power to take, you would take. You project your own suppressed gluttony onto them. Tax them, you scream. Take their money. What is that? That is greed. That is the desire hired to possess resources you did not earn. You are just outsourcing the theft to the government so you can keep your hands clean. You want the mammoth meat, but you want the tribal council to club the hunter for you. You are driven by the instinct of leveling. In hunter-gatherer societies, if a man became too proud or too successful, the tribe would mock him. They would ridicule his skill. They would humble him. This was necessary to keep the tribe cohesive. An arrogant alpha was a danger to group stability. So when you post snarky comments about billionaires on Twitter, when you rejoice when a CEO fails, when you scroll through headlines looking for scandals about the wealthy, you are engaging in ritual humiliation. You are the savage throwing mud at the successful hunter to bring him down to your level. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels like justice, but it's not justice. It's fear. You are terrified of the gap between you and him. Every meter of altitude he gains is a reminder of how low you are standing. So instead of climbing, you try to drag him down. And the tragedy is, this mentality keeps you poor. You cannot become what you despise. If your subconscious mind associates wealth with evil, theft, and greed, your brain will sabotage every attempt you make to succeed. Why would you work hard if the result is becoming a bad person? Why would you take risks if success makes you a target? You have installed a psychological ceiling on your own potential. You have booby-trapped your own path to power. Every time you get close to a breakthrough, your leveling instinct kicks in and says, "Stop. Don't be like them. Stay safe in the herd." You surround yourself with other crabs in the bucket, your friends, your family. They reinforce this hallucination. You sit around drinking cheap beer, complaining about the system, nodding in agreement that money isn't everything, spoken by people who have none. You create an echo chamber of losers. If one of you tries to escape, if one of you starts a business or invests, what happens? Do you cheer him on? No. You say, "Who do you think you are? You'll fail. Don't risk it. Come back to the bucket." You protect your shared delusion, because if he succeeds, then your excuse that the system is rigged falls apart. If he makes it, it proves that you could have made it too, but didn't. And that realization is too painful to bear. So you enforce the zero-sum lie. You cling to it like a religion. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. False. The rich get richer, and the poor get cheap TVs, antibiotics, and the internet. The standard of living rises for everyone, but the relative status gap widens. And you care more about status than survival. You would rather starve in a village where everyone is equal than be well fed in a city where someone else eats better than you. That is the sickness of the primate brain. You are obsessed with rank. You would burn the village down just to make sure the alpha doesn't have a bigger hut. This is why you don't work. Because work implies competing in a game you are terrified of losing. If you don't try, you can't lose. If you don't play, you can keep your fantasy that I could be rich if I wanted to, but I choose not to because I'm moral. That is the ultimate cope. You didn't choose poverty. Poverty chose you. And until you admit that you are losing the game because you are too weak to play it, nothing will change. Stop looking at his plate. Look at your own empty hands. The food on his table did not disappear from yours. It was never on yours. He went into the forest and killed it. You stayed in the cave. That is the only equation that matters. Let's descend into the basement of your daily routine. Let's look at what you actually do with the 16 hours you are awake. You say you want to be rich. You say you want to escape the rat race, but observe your behavior. An alien biologist observing you from orbit would conclude that your primary objective is comfort management. You are addicted to fake work. You confuse motion with progress. You confuse being busy with being effective. You spend hours researching. You watch tutorials. You listen to podcasts. You color code your calendar. You clean your desk. This feels like work. It triggers the same dopamine centers as work. You tell yourself, I am productive. But this is not work. This is procrastination in a tuxedo. This is fear disguised as preparation. Real work, the kind that generates wealth, is terrifying. Real work involves the risk of public failure. Real work involves rejection. Real work involves shipping a product that might suck, making a call that might end in a hang-up, investing money that might disappear. Real work hurts. Fake work feels safe. You can prepare forever without ever facing the judgment of the market. You are masturbating your ambition without ever conceiving a result. Why do you do this? Because of the fear of the mirror. As long as you are planning to succeed, you can maintain the fantasy that you are a high-potential individual. You are a pre-rich person. But the moment you actually try, the moment you step into the arena, you risk shattering that image. If you try and fail, you have to face the mirror and admit, maybe I'm not good enough. That thought is ego death. That thought is unbearable. So you choose the safety of never really trying. If you don't try, you can't fail. You can always say, I could have done it if I had the time. You protect your potential by never testing it. You suffocate your own dream to save your vanity. The rich man, the one you envy, broke that mirror a long time ago. He accepted that he might be an idiot. He accepted that he might fail. He put his skin in the game. Do you know what skin in the game means biologically? It means exposure. It means walking out of the cave without a spear. When a billionaire starts a new venture, he is risking his reputation, his capital, his ego. He is standing naked in the storm. You are watching from the window, sipping cocoa, criticizing his form. He looks stupid, you say. He's making a mistake. Yes, he looks stupid, but he is in the arena. You are in the stands. The gladiator bleeds. The spectator jeers. Who eats the feast at the end of the night? Not the spectator. You crave certainty. This is the defining trait of the prey animal. The deer wants to know exactly where the grass is and exactly where the wolf is not. You want a paycheck. You want a guarantee. You want to trade your time for a fixed number of units, regardless of the outcome. This is the employee contract. It is a contract of safety. I will submit to your authority. I will give you my autonomy, and in exchange, you will feed me. This is domestication. The wolf does not have a paycheck. The wolf has a kill rate. If he hunts well, he gorges. If he hunts poorly, he starves. The rich operate on the wolf contract. They trade certainty for unlimited upside. They accept the risk of zero for the possibility of infinity. You accept the guarantee of enough for the certainty of never enough. You sold your upside for a warm blanket. Don't be angry at the man who slept in the cold to buy the mountain. And let's talk about the biological tax of wealth. You see the private jet. You don't see the cortisol. You don't see the stomach acid. You don't see the isolation of command. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. This is not poetry. This is physiology. To maintain high status requires a level of vigilance that would break you. You get stressed when your boss sends an email with a typo. Imagine the stress of being responsible for 10,000 families. Imagine the stress of seeing your net worth fluctuate by millions in an hour. You want the prize, but you lack the nervous system capacity to hold it. If I gave you the CEO's life today, you would have a breakdown in a week. Your adrenal glands would burn out. You would beg for your cubicle back. You are envious of a weight you cannot lift. You justify your laziness by saying, I don't want to be a slave to money. Look in the mirror. You are already a slave to money. You wake up when the alarm tells you. You go where the boss tells you. You eat what your budget allows you. You live where you can afford. Every aspect of your existence is dictated by the lack of money. You are the slave. The rich man is the master. Yes, the master has to manage the plantation. He has to worry about the crop. He has to deal with the politics, but he decides when to wake up. He decides where to go. He mastered money so money would stop mastering him. You serve the God you claim to despise. And here is the darkest truth of all. You don't work because you don't believe in yourself. Your laziness is just a lack of faith. Deep down in the reptilian brain, you have accepted your rank. You have accepted that you are a beta. You have accepted that the alpha role is for other people. You have internalized your own mediocrity, so any effort feels futile. Why run if I'm slow? Why hunt if I'm weak? This is learned helplessness. You have been shocked by the electric fence of life so many times that you stop checking if the power is still on. The power is off. The gate is open, but you are still standing in the pen, chewing the cud, waiting for the slaughter. The rich man believes, often delusionally, that he is a god, that he can bend reality to his will. That delusion is his fuel. You are a realist. You see the walls. He sees the door. Realism is the coffin of ambition. To escape the gravity of your class, you need a level of insanity. You need to believe that you are destined for more, even when all the evidence says you are a loser. You lack that insanity. You are too sane. You are too comfortable in your despair. You use happiness as a shield. I'd rather be happy than rich. Are you happy? Look at your face on the subway commute. Look at your face when the bills come. Look at your face when you have to deny your children something they want. Is that happiness? Or is that resignation? Happiness is a byproduct of function. A human is happy when he is functioning at his highest capacity, when he is growing, when he is conquering. Stagnation is not happiness. Stagnation is slow death. You are not happy. You are numb. And you hate the rich because they make you feel the pins and needles of your sleeping limb. They remind you that you are paralyzed. The mirror is right there. The rich man is the reflection of what a human can be when he unchains his drive. You are the reflection of what a human becomes when he surrenders to his fear. Smash the mirror if you want. Scream at it. Spit on it. But the reflection won't change until you move. The autopsy is complete. We have cut open your envy and found nothing but fear. We have dissected your righteous anger and found only laziness. You are not a revolutionary. You are not a victim. You are a biological machine operating in low power mode, angry at the machines running at full capacity. You have a choice, and it is a choice you make every single morning when your eyes open. You can continue to serve the governor. You can continue to obey the signal that says, stop, it hurts. hurts, stay safe. You can continue to scroll through the lives of the apex predators, poisoning yourself with bitterness, telling yourself stories about how they are evil to protect your fragile ego. You can stay in the bucket. It's warm there. It's crowded. You will never be lonely because misery loves company. Or you can break the mechanism. You can decide right now that your envy is not a sin, but a compass. It is pointing you toward what you are capable of. It is the ghost of your potential screaming at you from the future. You can stop hating the rich and start studying them. You can stop looking for their flaws and start replicating their habits. You can accept that the price of the view is the climb. You can accept that the price of the crown is the weight. There is no system holding you down. The door is unlocked. The guards are gone. The only thing keeping you in this cage is your refusal to walk through the fire. The rich man walked through it. That is why he smells like smoke. That is why he has the gold. You want the gold without the burns? Grow up. The universe does not work that way. The video ends here. The distraction ends here. The silence that follows is your reality. Look at it. If you don't like what you see, then for the love of your own survival, get to work.